Hello and welcome back to the broadcast episode 42. I'm joined today by Brad Lawrence. Hello, Brad.
How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, all good, thank you, all good. Today's episode's just going to be something a little different, so I'll basically put you over to Brad and I'm going to ask him a few questions. So, Brad, what is it you do yourself?
So I'm a coach, primarily sort of like transformation based. Do other bits of other stuff as well, but primarily my kind of bread and butter is, transformation, aesthetics based stuff. Dabbled in bits of endurance stuff. I'm definitely no expert in that area, but I think for me the main thing that I try and do is just want people looking good, but also equally feeling good as well. And I think the nice balance of the weight training stuff as well as some of the endurance stuff usually tends to be the perfect kind of cocktail for the best kind of, overall healthy sort of life.
Yeah. How did you actually get in? I was interested to know how you got into that in the first place, like actually starting to take people from that transformation into that transformation stuff. Because obviously you run your business with your missus, yeah? So she's like the other part of the business. How did you guys get into that and how did it all start?
I suppose I could take you back to being a kid, I suppose. I mean, I've always been a sporty person. I was never particularly interested in anything other than physical things, to be honest. I always did well at school. Like, I was always one of those that kind of breezed through it. Just when I was a bit younger, my parents almost kind of wondered whether I had some type of ADHD or something, because I just never sit still, and all I wanted to do was like fight and play sports and running up and down the sofa and stuff, and just wouldn't sit still. So I was always just into that type of stuff. Played sport from a young age, like football, rugby, and whatever. And then at like 13 years old, I got scouted to play professional rugby. So I played professional rugby through like an academy system, scholarship system, and academy system for best part of like 8 years, I think. And then when I kind of retired from rugby, I was kind of like in a bit of a place where I was kind of like felt a bit lost, I suppose. Because when you pursue something like that, you kind of like you have to it's your whole life at the end of the day. It was like 7 years.
Absolutely.
I did like a bit of a BTEC along the side of that as well. I did stuff, but I was kind of
Was it rugby league you played?
rugby league, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just a bit of a poor man's sport. So it's not like rugby union or football where you're making big anything like that. So while I was doing that, I went to university and stuff. But my friends had stable jobs and they were making good money, and I kind of wasn't at the end of the day. So when I finished, I was kind of like, oh, what the fuck? I hope I can swear on here, by the way.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I was just kind of a bit lost. I went back to doing like a bit of a factory job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, can't do this anymore. It felt like when you feel like you kind of up here and you're excelling at something, and then you just kind of like go back to a normal life. Not there's anything wrong with that, by the way, but for me, it felt like I took a step back. Um, I had done a PT course at the same time as being at university as well. I just never done anything with it. And that was when I was like, right, that's it. I'm doing that. I'm going full time with this. So I decided to jump into bodybuilding. That was where I first started. I'd always had like an interest in bodybuilding because one of my close friends growing up, his dad was a bodybuilder, and it was like my first introduction to the gym, to be fair, when I was like 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, with like my dad, with my friend and his dad in like an old school bodybuilding gym.
Yeah.
So I guess
Metal plates clanging together.
absolutely, like just like old kind of gritty, dark dungeon type vibes, and I always kind of had that in me. I was like, well, I think that it looks cool. It's always kind of fascinated me. Obviously, not knowing what I was getting into at the time, but that was how I kind of got into it. Like it was kind of like right bodybuilding, and then because at the end of the day, mate, you know it yourself. Like if you want to be able to coach people to run, you better be good at running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like I
Or
had
at
to,
least most of the way there, or at least gone through the process of it. Like
exactly, yeah.
we wouldn't coach someone to a show of bodybuilding if you've never like done the process yourself, right?
It's just, walking the walk and, proving that you can kind of do it and you can live the life. So that's what I kind of did. I jumped into bodybuilding, did my first bodybuilding show at like 23, I believe, if I remember. Started the business there, just like slowly started building it up. It was kind of like one-to-one at the beginning, just as you do in the gym in my little hometown in Cumbria. And then, a couple of years later, it kind of got a bit bigger and I was doing really well with it. I competed a couple of times and just kind of took it from there, to be fair. And, what was that? Probably like coming on, it was like 9 years ago or something. Eight-ish years, I think.
How did you find, like, I'm obviously rugby background as well, but union, and then how did you find, like, I've struggled before with sometimes moving from going from like a really serious rugby background, which is a team sport and, you know, all that kind of thing, going into like a purely, like, you obviously running is an individual sport, but I would say it's more team based even than bodybuilding. I'd say bodybuilding might be one of the most individual sports you can possibly do, right? Because although you might have a training partner that's spotting you, like, there's, you know, he's not running beside you or, you know, pushing you on. Like, how did you find that mentally? Like, did you find you got the same like thing from it, or what was it different?
I've never really struggled with, you know, don't get me wrong, I like being part of the banter and being in groups and stuff like that. For me personally, I've always been a bit of a lone wolf, to be honest. Kind of like the isolation of it, I guess. Because it was less for me to think about.
Yeah.
Just like me, I don't have to rely on anything. And I guess this is why a lot of people, and what people don't understand about bodybuilding, it's quite ruthless, but it's also like one of the most like self-liberating things that you can do, in my opinion. It's like, because it's so difficult and because it is kind of like everything that you do is earned, you can't like really credit anybody else for it. Like, that was the satisfaction that I kind of get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
But
makes sense.
I suppose in a way, mate, like, there is always a team-based element to bodybuilding, because it is like you say, you're very, very solo, but your environment matters quite a lot. So like, who you surround yourself with, like, when it's tough and you're starving and you're hungry and you really can't be arsed, and, you know, stuff like that. Having a partner or friends or other people that are into the sport, even to just speak to them about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to kind of find your little bubble in a way to kind of help.
Yeah, I suppose that gym environment is probably going to drive it quite a lot, right? Like the same as like a running environment. If you go down to a group that are all smashing it and getting PBs and setting records and stuff like that, it's going to be a lot better. Like, it's going to be pretty difficult to step on stage standing like in a pure gym with people doing 2 sets and walking away, whereas if you're in like what you say, like a proper bodybuilding gym where everyone's pushing the limits, that's going to be like, oh, I've seen him do it, and 6 months ago he was in this condition, now he's in this condition, now it's physically possible, I just need to work my arse off.
Sure. I think that you kind of work in your favour that way, because, you know, you have more control over who you can hang around with and who you can kind of like, you know, who you want to socialise with and who you want to take inspiration from. You know, you can go to whatever gym you want, you know, providing that obviously it's within a certain radius or whatever, but you can kind of choose your environment, I guess. I suppose that, you know, it's slightly different for you, maybe, like, you can't control who turns up to your own club. But it's like, I guess that's the benefit of it. And I guess, like I say, it's just kind of linking that back to just making sure you're wise with who you spend your time around. Because if you pick the right people, you know, you spend as many hours as you can with people that are really motivating and really positive and, you know, will push you. Like, it's great. You surround yourself with people that are fucking knobs and twine about every little thing, then you're going to have a hard time, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're on a spiral staircase, you're either going down it or you're going up it, you know, and some people are going to help you up it and other people are going to try and get you down it, and obviously you want to try and keep going up, right?
Sure, 100%.
And so you were doing that in person, and then you decided to like take, because obviously you're like a massive online platform now, like both you and your missus both running it, and like moved out to Dubai and you're running it as a massive platform. So when did you sort of see the sort of I guess it might have been like more of a bigger picture of like the ability to reach so many people on like a big platform like yours?
I mean, we're kind of lucky, I suppose. When I came into it, like, Instagram and stuff was still kind of big, but also still kind of growing at the same time. So I always did primarily one-to-one in-person training, but everything was like also little bits of online. You know, people that maybe couldn't get to my gym, then I knew I was kind of like helping them online as well. I've kind of got 8 years of experience on the gym floor, but also 8 years of experience doing online as well. And then for years, because I ended up moving back down to like the Lancashire area after I moved home, after I played rugby, because the amount of people there is just way bigger, and they way bigger. People make more money, like, you know, down in Manchester than they do in Cumbria. So it was just a logical step for me to take. I was with a previous partner of mine that was from down there as well. So I started working at a big gym in Bolton, and I built a client base there. But then lockdown happened, and I was doing really well at the time, but lockdown happened and my fucking heart fell out my ass, you know. It was like, you have this sort of stable income, and then it kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And it kind of forced me into online more. Do you know what I mean? I had
Yeah,
no
yeah.
choice. But it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because like, it was kind of like a sink or swim situation where it was kind of like, right, well, I go from making what type of money to literally like, I think the first month of lockdown I had like 500 quid in my bank because like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all of my clients just kind of, well, not left,
They're just trying to survive, or nobody knows what's going on, or whatever at that point, right?
but then like, if I had 500 quid in my fucking bank, mate, most people would shit themselves. And I can't give myself credit for this. I gave that 500 quid to a business mentor.
Right. Okay.
And within 2 or 3 months of lockdown, I was making double plus some of what I was making before, purely online. And it was it kind of opened my eyes to it. It was kind of like, well, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't really need to get up at fucking 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't have to be getting in at 9:30 in the evening. I can make this money from my laptop
Yeah, yeah,
and not have to be anywhere. Don't get me wrong, it's not that easy. Do you know what I mean? You have to
yeah.
be.
Of course.
But that was kind of like the green light or the light bulb, shall I say, going off in my head. It was kind of like, why are you trading your time for money when you can do the same thing if not better?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you have more time on your hands to give more quality. Because at the end of the day, like if I'm giving somebody a 60-minute session, my attention to that one person is for that hour. Whereas like online, I can be giving multiple people attention at the same time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can
And
provide.
you're still delivering quality, and they're getting results. So, like, ultimately, that's the goal, right?
Exactly, and I feel like it's actually online is typically cheaper than what 1-to-1 is. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just that was the thing that kind of pushed me to do it, and I've had peaks and troughs with it. It's difficult, like the industry changes, like social media changes, like people's attention span changes,
Mhm.
and you've got to kind of adapt with it. But we're learning it, and we've done really well. Fast forward a few years, me and the missus met. We've been together over 2 years now. We're
Mhm.
pretty much the same person, just in a different body.
Mhm.
We were just like, it makes sense for us to both do it. We both have the same passion, the same goal, the same drive to do it. So we combined it, and it's essentially quite a bit easier because it's like two people doing the same thing, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
going back to like your environment, right? Like when you're doing it on your own, it's a lot easier to have somebody else there to like bounce ideas off and
Bounce ideas. Yeah, yeah.
it,
Absolutely.
you know. And also like financially as well. At the end of the day, like when we're paying for videographers or mentors and stuff like that, it's like two people like paying for it, and rather than just the one. So it's worked out
Yeah.
like really, really well. It was both doing it together, and we're still young at it. To be fair,
Mhm.
we've only been doing it together since January 2024, but we've both been doing it alone for like the best part of 8 years. So we're still in the early stages of it, but it's been nothing but up since we started. So it's going really well.
Well done, mate. That's really good. Like, obviously, there must be like a key differentiating factors between, like, I have an idea of what it will be like between yourself. Because I mean, if you go on Instagram, whatever, so especially because I've got a sports page set up and lots of different active things, I must get 15 different guys and girls across my feed a day. 8 weeks to best physique ever. 12-week this, 12-week that, and then obviously like. I mean, to me, it seems clear that you guys are obviously super dedicated and knowledgeable, and you've obviously done like the background and like your super attention to detail and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously your both of your physical conditions really good as well, so that'll drive people to you. But what do you think? Do you think there's only been like magic sauce, or do you think there's something that you've done differently to these other people to make you guys like do really well? Or
Honestly, man, I think we're still figuring it out. It's like,
yeah,
it's like we don't feel in any type of way like we've made it or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know we're definitely doing well, but I also know there's people out there that are doing better than us. But like, I think the main thing is like, it's the same as anything, I suppose. It's the same as training. And you can take a lot of lessons in like from one thing that you do and like, cross correlate to pretty much anything in life, right?
absolutely.
I might try one thing and fuck up and think, oh, that didn't work very well, and you'd learn from it and do something else, and just get better and better each time. And ultimately, that's what we've done. Like, over the fucking 8 years that we've been doing it, it's like I've had times when I'm like, fuck me, I'm skint, mate.
Yeah,
I need to do something. I just argue that maybe I'm not the most business savvy. I'm not the most muscular guy in the world. I'm not the leanest guy in the world. But I think one thing I am is just me, and also just like quite stubborn in regards to just keep trying. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I would
I
say,
think if you never give up, like I think it's pretty hard to lose.
for sure.
Even if you're down and out, like if you don't give up and just go back and put the chips back on the table and go back on, you're not really going to lose, are you?
I think, yeah, I mean, you've probably, again, you see it in your own kind of business and your own journey or with your running and stuff. Like, social media is everything. Like, it's quite easy to feel like you're comparing to other people and like get into the trap of like, well, he does well or she does well, like I'll do what she does or I'll do what he does. The one thing that we've kind of noticed is like, I actually don't want to be anybody else but just be me, and if I can be really good at being me, then people who like me will come to me, and people who me, it's like we almost try to on purpose market ourselves in a way to put off the people that we don't want.
Yeah. So you're like almost really niche to like the people that you do want.
Yeah, like that's like ultimately like, you know, it wasn't always that way, and we're kind of privileged in a way that, you know, we've built it up to a point where people trust us because we get results. But like, yeah, it just comes down to realistically like knowing what you want and who you want to work with, and just speaking your truth, I think. And if you speak your truth, 9 times out of 10 the people that actually agree with you might not buy straight away, but they'll buy eventually. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just trying to please every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you just melt into the background of everybody. You just become a sheep. Then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not like leading. You're just sort of following and
absolutely
sort of do that kind of thing.
Just try and do that, and just keep figuring it out as time goes by, because I'm sure it'll change again. You know?
Yeah. I'm sure there will be some sort of thing. Do you ever see? And this is like just off the top of my head, something that's come into the endurance training stuff, and for myself, and a question that I've been asked a lot is like, do you ever see yourself being challenged by like AI or computer based things, and do you ever see like obviously that changing, and like what do you think about that for the future, and then what would you sort of say to combat that? Like what would you say is the main differences between like yourself and that, because there must be programs out there, I'm guessing, already.
100%. Like, and I guess I just kind of cross correlate to that, to what I just said. It's like, if I ideally don't want clients that think they just could get away with an AI training program. Like, I don't want you anyway. But ultimately, like, you know, there's different standards and different fucking, you know, you pay a tenner for an AI robot to do it, or you pay a premium for a human to do it that you can talk with and that you can get one-to-one feedback with, that you can have a human conversation with, you can build a relationship with, that understands fucking emotion, you know?
Yeah.
That's what coaching is. It's not, you know, people might think that an online training program is just a fucking PDF that you send, but like, that's not good when, like, you know, you have a shit week, or your dog dies, or your fucking grandma's in hospital and you're stressed. Do you know what I mean? It's like, coaching is personal. So there's always going to be that, I think, and I'm sure AI will consistently just continue to get better and better and better and better. And there's always going to be people that will buy into that, and that's fine if you want the cheap option and the easy and the convenient option. But I think there'll always be, I think, one-to-one. And as time goes by as well, I don't know if you feel, I feel like the world itself is actually just getting more and more disconnected. And I think people will want and crave more human attention and interaction. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I really feel like that has been the differentiating factor for like myself and my coaching, where I'll be like, yeah, like I am completely different. Like I am a human as well, and I will make mistakes, and it's almost like you're on that sort of journey together, and we have a chat, and at the end of the day you can pick up the phone and bell me, and I'll probably be at a coffee shop in 20 minutes if I've not got anything on, and you know, or you know, on a Zoom call, or having this kind of chat, or do anything, you know. And that is like the real differentiating factor. It's like an actual human connection. I think what you see is like your weakness is actually your strength, like the fact that you're you and you're able to deliver your own personal spin on it, where you know you might put into the AI, your client might put into the AI, I didn't hit this chest exercise today because of this, and you as Brad, you might go, fuck that mate, you're meant to hit this next week, I want you to hit this because that's why you're going to get this, and develop that. Whereas an AI will go, you know what, next week, you know, it will say, that's okay, you've done great, like whatever. Whereas your personality might go, fucking come on son, like this is what we need to do.
Absolutely. Oh, and I also think that, like, man, I use ChatGPT every single day, pretty much, in some way or another, and it's not always right.
No, absolutely not.
Always.
No.
Like, you know,
I'd say it's probably wrong more than it's right at the minute, to be honest. It's I
ask a question and I'll be like, that's not right, and then it'll reply back to me and say, oh, actually, yeah, you're right for pulling me up on that. I wasn't right. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it'll get better over time. I think like you say, people will, and they do now, value like community and just like a human connection, you know. You probably feel it yourself, like, you know, your clients that do the best are usually the ones that you know you're closest to.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Once you check in regularly, the ones who
Yeah.
text you, "I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
How are you doing? What's happening, mate? You know, whatever." Absolutely.
You know, the ones that you feel like, you know, can be, you know, you're friends with at the end of the day to some degree. Now, there's obviously a mutual understanding that it's coach and client, but, you know, the ones that you feel like you know better and the ones that you know more about, they are only going to let their guard down more to you and put more trust in you. Do you know what I mean? Which I think,
Yeah, which is only going to enhance the coaching experience, right? Where you understand that their pain points, their issues, what they've been going through, whatever. Like, and you might even go and, you know, yeah, like have a call with them, and they might tell you something that could unlock some sort of new level of understanding that you could deliver in your training to them. I 100% agree. I was wondering about what's the biggest sort of challenges you generally find. Like, I wanted to ask you some questions about like the nutrition side of things, because I know you're in a preparation. We spoke briefly before we jumped on, like about like I've never done a prep or anything. I went from rugby to endurance, so I've always been sort of just all about fueling performances. I've never done anything that's been like an aesthetic cut or anything. I wanted to ask like the difficulties and challenges of. Like, I think you'd mentioned on your Instagram that you were on 1,800 calories. Or is that right?
yeah, 1800.
Which obviously you're a big guy. You know, what's the challenges of that like, and how do you deal with that for yourself and for your clients? Well, I'll let you answer.
It's different bodybuilding and transformation coaching, especially when you like, you know, if you can see it as kind of like a bit of a continuum or, you know, on a scale. Fat loss is really simple. Fat loss and dropping a few pounds you can do in a week or, you know, a couple of weeks, and it doesn't take much effort at all. But like, you know, you typically hear it all the time, like, oh, eat less, move more, which is the foundational kind of principle to losing a bit of weight.
Hmm.
You know, our style of coaching and what we do is, you know, more extreme. So it's kind of like, you know, we want people like really, really lean or really, really shredded. And the commitment and sacrifice of that is definitely a lot more than just your average kind of, oh, I want to lose 6 pounds to feel a bit better about myself. So
Absolutely.
nine times out of 10, when you feel, you know, when you're trying to get in amazing shape, you feel better about yourself in a confidence way, but you actually end up feeling shitter.
Yeah.
At least in
I
the
can
short,
imagine.
at least in the short term. Like, especially right now, you know, for me,
Hmm.
2 weeks and 2 days out from a photo shoot,
Hmm.
1,800 calories a day, an hour of cardio every day, 15,000 steps a day, like same food pretty much.
So what deficit does that put you in?
Oh,
Like, if you,
it's
what would you say? Like, is your daily like your, what do you call it, TDE? What would you say like your daily total daily expenditure is
uh, it's hard to really know, but
roughly?
I'd probably say like more than a 1,500 calorie deficit if like, you know, if
Really?
we were going off.
So it is extreme, you know. Like if somebody is probably listening to this and tried to cut a few pounds, they've probably done like a 200 calorie deficit or a 500 calorie deficit,
For sure.
but like obviously 15 different level.
And look, it's not like it was this from the beginning, you know. We start at like typically a really small calorie deficit and then, you know, minimal cardio, minimal steps. And we just kind of like take it as time goes by, you know. It's very much a responsive type of thing where you kind of like assess things on a weekly basis, like, oh, I've lost weight this week. If not, then we need to make that deficit a bit more aggressive, whether that's by taking calories away or increasing expenditure or whatever. You know, that's essentially just the repeatable principle over time. You reduce it and reduce it and reduce it, or increase it, increase it, increase it until you get the desired look.
Yeah.
Some people get away with it more than others, some people don't. Like, I'm not really somebody that's genetically lean. I
Hmm.
also have a massive fucking appetite. So like,
Yeah.
for me, it's difficult. I get pretty hungry as a person.
Right.
So like hunger is quite high. And as you can probably imagine, eating 1,800 calories a day, like no matter how much willpower you've got, you do end up pretty tired.
Yeah, of course.
By midday, I'm kind of like, oh, I could probably go to sleep.
Which you got, and you've got probably shitloads of work to do. Like you've got shitloads of stuff to be done. And it's not like you can just go close my laptop and see you later.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's, again, you get better and better at this the more that you do it. Like the first time that I did it, like, and I think this is where most people coming into it are, they do it once or they try and do it once, and then it's fucking harder than they think it was going to be. And they end up with like either a bad relationship with food or a bad relationship with self because they didn't expect how hard it was going to be. And to use myself as an example, the first time I ever did a bodybuilding show, I went from like 108 kilos to 84 in like a 20-week period. So it's like, what's that, like 24 kilos, like nearly in 50 plus pounds in like a 5-month period. By the end of that bodybuilding show, all I wanted to do was eat and get pissed. So that's what I did. And I just ended up fat again off the back of it. Ultimately, like you said, like everything in life, you kind of learn from your lessons. I did eat, and I got fat again, and I was like, oh, I can't do that again. And now it just really doesn't bother me anymore. Like, my relationship with food is really good. Like, I need to eat low calories. Other than being hungry and tired, like, I don't feel any type of way about it. I'm not emotional about it, really. I don't crave food. I don't have desire to do anything at all. Like, it's just the way that I kind of live my life now.
I think that probably could have been like, you probably coach people in that manner now as well, and you've learned that lesson and like deliver that across. You probably, if you go back, you'd be screaming at yourself and saying like, no, Brad, don't have the kebab and 10 pints 5 nights in a row, because you're just going to regret it. Like, go ease into it. You'll have your off period, do whatever you need to do for 48 hours, and then get back to the sort of training. But you're obviously going to coach people in the same manner now, right? Because you've learned that lesson.
Absolutely. And I think that's the diet is one thing, but then the thing after the diet is a completely separate thing, and arguably the thing after the diet is actually harder. I was having this conversation with a client recently, funnily enough. He was a bigger guy, like, he wasn't huge or anything like that, but he's lost like, what was it? He was 116 kilos down to like 94, so like 22 kilos in like 5 months or something. And, we were like, right, you've done enough dieting now. We can get more off, but I also don't think it's wise for us to continue dieting. Let's just have a bit of time where we're just eating maintenance, just try and maintain this new level of body composition that you've got right now. And I had to make him aware, like, look, there's going to be a lot of temptation right this second. Like, you've been very, very strict with yourself for like 5 or 6 months. You now mentally, like, this is like 99% of the people in the world will probably go, well, I'm not dieting anymore. I can get away with it now.
Like Domino's, see the Domino's advert and call up.
Absolutely. It's like, the habits that you've built and the consistency that you've had. Realistically, if you want to be able to get in shape and stay in shape for like the rest of your life, you have to live by that same consistency pretty much. But you have to learn to appreciate that, like, you get to do this, you get to eat more and do a lot less, but you still need to live for that life. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I think ultimately, like, that's why this diet now for me is probably the easiest one that I've done. I've not really struggled with it at all, other than bits of hunger and bits of tiredness, because I was able to not get fat off the back of it. My starting point was better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, absolutely. Similar to marathon training, going from one marathon to the next. You have 3-4 weeks off, but you're already on this level, and all you have to do is maintain there, and then to go to the next step is easier. Whereas if you try to go from here to here straight away, you're fold. I guess that's probably the same, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's I've done bits of endurance training myself, and I personally, like, again, going back to how I said I might have a bit of ADHD or something, I get bored of doing the same thing. So that's why I've done like bodybuilding, and I've done triathlon, and I've done half marathon, or whatever. The last time I ever did a half marathon was like October 24. Was it 24? It might have been October 24. And it was the best half marathon I ever run. I think I did it in like 1 hour and 40, which for me, at the time, like 97-ish kilos, like, was pretty fast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Man, like, I couldn't do that now because, like, I haven't been running consistently, so I basically climbed this hill to a level of fitness that I was really, really happy with. I've stopped doing the running, and now I'm going to have to climb that hill again.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get back to that. Do you know what I mean? Exact same thing. If you don't keep training it, you lose it.
That probably takes us into a good segue of asking about the diet and the strength training and stuff with your sort of endurance, because I do like to strength train, do like to do stuff, but I'm not doing anything for body composition. I'm doing everything for performance. And how do you feel that your type of training leads into endurance? Do you have what was your typical week structured like when you're doing that sort of thing, or do you more focused on, I'm going to do this bodybuilding plus 3-4 endurance, or I'm going to do 3-4 endurance plus I'll do 2 gym because I'm already in a good shape? What was your sort of mentality?
I have always done things slightly unconventional, probably not the most optimal way, to be honest. I did a photo shoot last year while training for a half Ironman.
Right, okay.
I was training in the gym 3 or 4 times a week, but then also doing 9 cardio sessions a week.
So how did that go? That's obviously like super interesting because I'm sure that's a challenge unlike probably anyone that's listening to this has ever even fathomed.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm blessed in a sense that I get to, structure my life however the fuck I want at the end of the day. So I have the time to do so. But it was hard, man. It was really fucking hard. Like 3 or 4 gym sessions a week. I mean, I would auto-regulate it to some degree. Like, if I felt pretty beat up, I'd maybe do one less gym session or something like that. But generally speaking, it was like 3 or 4 gym sessions a week, and then maybe 2 swims, 2 bike sessions, and 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. It was just fucking time consuming.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But I would never advise people do that.
No, 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 no.
I think for me, like, if I'm not particularly training for anything in particular, like right now, I'm doing the photo shoot, I'm still doing bits of running, but the way that I kind of see it is like, well, I've got an hour or 600 calories of cardio to do per day, which is quite a lot. I just do whatever I want to do. Yeah, for me, I appreciate that, like, maybe running isn't the best thing for fat loss because, especially while you're eating 1800 calories, because, my hunger is probably going to spike and my recovery is probably going to take a hit. But arguably, I just enjoy it more, so I'll just take that hit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you typically advise someone then if you're doing that? Obviously, everyone's going to be different, but like most people are going to be running out with fat burning zones and stuff. I take it that's one of the reasons you generally avoid running, just because you want to stay like a level below a certain heart rate. Is that what you would tell someone, or?
I mean, if a client really enjoys running and they want to run, I tell them they can run. But I would just say don't run too much, like maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, and just try and keep the majority of it at a low heart rate. So like your easy zone twos and stuff like that. Just purely because, like, when you're driving calories down, like, one, hunger is going to go up because you're going to be burning through a lot more calories in a shorter period of time. The fatigue element of it, obviously, like the constant smashing of pavements and stuff like that, does, have an effect, especially when, if it's a female, for example, or a guy, maybe even females more in particular, like, trying to train legs or glutes 2 or 3 times a week, and then also running, like, their legs are just going to be so heavy 24/7.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, look, you've got to pick, like, do you want to be optimal or do you want to do what you enjoy? And I think that you've got to kind of, mesh them together as much as possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's ultimately like the way I kind of go about it. It's like, I've got 7 sessions of 600 calories or 60 minutes to do. Maybe I'm doing swimming like twice a week, lucky enough to have the pool outside, swimming twice a week, running twice a week, and then the rest is either like bike or Stairmaster.
Yeah, that's no, it's interesting. I just like never knew really how it worked. Like I've checked out loads of people. I think this is probably a different version of hybrid. So like I've seen loads of people who have done triathlon, weightlifting, triathlon, strongman. We've got our own special hybrid. We're running and drinking. That's our hybrid. But yours is hybrid of. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing this an Ironman on a show or like a prep. To be honest, that's like different level.
I suppose it'd fall under, like, I've heard the term like functional bodybuilding.
Right. Okay. I've never heard that before. So
it's kind of like, I mean, it's definitely not advisable. I don't think many people do it, but like, essentially the bodybuilding is the base, but then you kind of just like, you appreciate and want to be fit at the same time.
Yeah.
However you do that is kind of like up to you, whether you do, bits of CrossFit or bits of swimming or biking or running, like you do bits of everything,
I take it though you're probably using like hypertrophy or whatever mainly for like adaptation, like for muscle building and stuff for like most of your clients. That's my next question was sort of like, do you have like a blueprint that you give to, say, a certain client, right? You're going to do 8 weeks to your best shape ever. Do you like have a blueprint and you're like, well, I know this works for 250 other people, 5 weight sessions a week, or I don't know what it is. I mean, do you have something, or is it?
No, it's very individualized. So it's like, 9 times out of 10 what we'll do is we'll do a consultation with a person, find out what they want and like what their struggles are individually, and then we kind of like write the program based on just them as an individual. We can sit here and say that like the majority and the foundation of physique-based training is going to be built through the hypertrophy and resistance-based stuff, but then we just kind of like supplement the nutrition and we supplement the cardio and stuff however degree. So it might be 3 days for one person, it might be 4 for another, it might be 5 for another. And again, fat loss and aesthetics, and I suppose running is as well to some degree very genetic based.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah. Everybody's got their own level of ability that they're able to get to, like, sort of naturally and say, right, that's what they can get to. And, even if I went and ran the same mileage that Kipchoge's running, I ain't ever going to run a 2-hour marathon. That's just a fact. Like, I've not got the leg length, I've not got the lung capacity, and that's just sadly part of it. And, like, there's a million bodybuilders that went and they've done probably Arnold's blueprint, which was exactly what he ate and trained like, and no one's ever going to be Arnold, are they?
It's the same as anything. Like, I think anybody at the top of any sport are naturally, one, like the most genetically blessed at that thing, but also in combination with ridiculously hardworking.
Yeah.
So it's like
you have to have both.
100%. I can I've got clients now that like I tell them to do one thing and it just drops. And then I've got other people that like I tell them to do the same thing that's the same thing that's worked for fucking 5,000 other people and it doesn't work for them,
Yeah.
Health issues or fucking PCOS or whatever, like people respond differently to different things and sometimes you kind of have to like figure it out on the go,
Absolutely, and that probably like is more a testament to like your coaching arsenal, like what you were speaking about before, where you, Brad, knows you've got a box of tricks that you can use that you've used on 5,000 different people, and they're all different, and you can apply them to different people. Where ultimately AI is going down the road of Mr. and Mrs. sort of generic person. So that's obviously like you're doing the best you can do with what you've got there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sorry, you can probably hear my dogs going absolutely mental, so I could hardly think when I was speaking there.
It's all right. Mine two are the same. But yeah, it's like, the principles are all one thing, fat loss and calorie deficits, and like we said before, move more, eat less will typically be the thing that you need to do, but how much of what and how little of something else is just completely individual to that person. I know people that like, I'm sure you know them as well. Like a prime example is my brother. Like he can still lean pretty much year round and just eat whatever the fuck he wants. Like I even look at a cake and I get fat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people.
100%. I think something I've always like not struggled with. Like I used to play rugby as well. I used to play front row rugby union. And I was like 118 kilos or something at my heaviest, and I've always really struggled with like balancing the injury. This is why I was like so interested to speak to you and get you on the podcast. So just like I have so many questions about like something I've always struggled with. And, like I managed to get myself down to like 82 and 85 and sit between there, and then obviously I feel like any other like weight loss for my height and sort of what I'm like, I feel like it's more like extreme. I've just always sort of wondered, like when you hear you pushing yourself into some sort of like crazy deficit, I'm like, I know it's possible. Obviously I'd have to let my training sort of suffer, let something suffer, and I just find it so interesting,
I suppose it's like, and again, we have this conversation with a lot of people. It's like we all have this like ideal like goal that we have, and it might be I want to be massive, but I also want to be fucking shredded, and I also want to be fit at the same time. It's like that's amazing and it's doable, but like not at the same time, not all at once.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like 87 kilos. And I was like the lightest I've been since I was like 23. But I've been training consistently for like 8 years now, and I'm only as big as I am now and only as lean as I am now because I've done it like fucking multiple times across 8 years.
Yeah.
For yourself, if like, if you wanted to be leaner but also be fit and strong, it might mean that like you have to almost sacrifice one thing in the short term to then move forward again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's such a difficult balance to strike, isn't it? And like one that I'm not saying that I don't think I could give up the sacrifice of like the mental health benefits of I feel of like I get from training and that kind of stuff, but like I think it would be an interesting an interesting little foray, a little dive into YouTube and do a little 6-week cut or something at some point, especially during the off season. I mean, you've got nothing else to go. I've genuinely never done it, and I just wondered what it would be like. But it's a different kind of like push, because it's like I'm probably like the same as yourself. I've got like ridiculous appetite, just probably from being so fat before. I used to just eat whatever I wanted forever, and I think that stayed with me. And I think the only reason that I'm probably 85 kilos is because I'm putting 2,000 calories a day through a bike or on my running shoes, you know. But it'd be interesting to just cut that out and just stick to some basic sort of steps and some hypertrophy gym and see where you all come out.
Absolutely, you never know until you try that.
No, I know, 100%.
But yeah, it's definitely different, mate. It's definitely different, and I think, like, you know, I've done both. You know, I've done purely bodybuilding, and you know, I mean, again, because I've been doing it for so long. But you know, typically when you're bodybuilding or whatever, you might look great, but you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, when I was doing endurance-based stuff, other than last year where I kind of did the two at the same time, you know, when I did my first triathlon, I arguably didn't look that good because I only really did running and swimming and biking, and you know, you've got an energy demand there that requires you to eat. It's hard doing both. It is fucking hard doing both. Arguably, it's almost kind of like you'll never be great at both if you're trying to do them at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
You're just going to suffer.
I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not trying to be the best bodybuilder in the world, and I'm not trying to be the best runner in the world. I just want to be good at both and be happy in the middle, you know?
Yeah, I think that's probably a key point, right? Try and be happy with like what you're doing. I think too many people get fallen into the trap of like just immediately going into comparison of what they're doing against someone else. Like, it'd just be too easy just to sort of fall into some sort of sadness purely because you're not delivering the same output as someone else, you know. And I think it's obviously happy with what you're doing. As long as you're enjoying it day to day, then I think that's the main thing, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I have this conversation with people again, like literally probably almost daily, right? You will have, especially in this day and age of like social media and stuff, like it's so easy to compare yourself to people. Like, you know, when our fucking parents were growing up or whatever, they didn't have phones, they didn't know what fucking the next door neighbour was doing, never mind like 10,000 people that have got on this fucking little box, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so easy to be like, well, open that up. Oh my god, I've just run a marathon at fucking, you know, 3 hours and 15-minute marathon, and you're sat there going, fuck me, that's rapid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and
I jogged around the block this morning at 6 minutes a k and I was blowing out my arse or something. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just pointless because you don't know what that person might have worked so fucking hard, like 10 times harder than you to deserve that, or equally they might have no kids, no fucking life stress, like they don't have you. It's just a completely different set. Paid
by brands or something, like, you know, like
exactly
something, you know, not to say like they've earned it, basically, like they've went and done the work or whatever. Sure. Yeah, it is so easy to get into that comparison stuff, right? It's a crazy world, and like social media, although it does connect, like it connects you probably with so many clients in like Manchester and UK. You probably have such a big thing. Like, I coach loads of people in the UK. It's great. I connect people that I've never met before. Someone I went to school with, I'm now coaching or something like that. But then at the same time, it can be like totally disconnecting, can't it? Where it's like so far away from real life and reality that you're just like, sometimes I wake up and I go, I could switch this thing off and just never see it again.
I absolutely could. If I didn't have a business that required it, I probably wouldn't have it.
Yeah, I think I've said the same thing. I did toy with the idea about 2 months ago of getting rid of it, like getting rid of my phone and going to like a flip phone. And then I realised that I wouldn't have any money, and then I thought, well, that's probably going to make me more depressed than like being on Instagram. So I was like, well, I better just keep posting my stupid videos and just be happy about it. It's a necessary sacrifice. But then I was like, I've come to the realisation, actually, that I was like, this is a necessary evil part of my job. When I worked as an engineer, I fucking hated making PowerPoints and doing presentations and sending emails and doing the stuff I hated.
Yeah.
But that was a necessary part of the job where you're like, right, actually, well, if you want to fix things and you want to get stuff done, you're going to have to do that rubbish part too. So it's like a necessary evil. So I've come to terms with it. But there was about a month period where I woke up every day and went, oh, this thing, you know what I mean? It's an absolute disaster.
I suppose like it's kind of similar to what you said about like you've got to learn to be grateful about where you are and try to forget about like comparing yourself, because I've been the same. Mm-hmm. I've been the same. Like, no matter what you do in life, you're always going to have days and like thoughts that are not great, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm privileged and blessed to be in the position that I'm in now. This is like, it's a hard job mentally because you're dealing with like people, like, you know, people's struggles on a daily basis, and 9 times out of 10 I just want to go shut the fuck up, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, get on with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But like, so it's a bit mind numbing sometimes, but equally like, I get to sit here and talk to you whenever I want. I can go and swim in the morning. I can go to the gym whenever I want. Like, I don't have to do anything. I'm in Dubai. Why am I moaning? Like, you got to remember where you come from at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same.
You could be back at that. You could be back in the factory, you know,
Exactly.
doing whatever.
100%. And I bet there's fucking people out there that are making millions and freaking billions that are probably more pissed off and depressed than me and you. Do you know what I mean? No matter what.
100%. 100% agree. As long as you're sort of happy with what you're doing, then you're all good. I know that you're obviously busy, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I do think it'll be really valuable for people who have listened to this, like especially if you're from an endurance background, or maybe if you're someone from, you know, your circles doing bodybuilding stuff, just talk a little bit about the feats that you've done. So I appreciate you coming, taking your lunch today, and checking in. So thank you very much, Brad, and I'm sure we'll see you at the running track soon.
Absolutely. Once this diet's out the way, maybe I can eat a bit more food and then I'll be there. And when the weather's a bit cooler as well.
Yeah, because at the minute it's pretty grim. So thank you very much, Brad.
No worries. Appreciate your time. All right, mate.